Franny K. Stein, Mad Scientist, Book 4, The Fran That Time Forgot. Chapter 3, Franny Takes the Cake. The announcement of the yearly science fair at school always filled Franny with mixed emotions. On the one hand, Franny loved creating new inventions and sharing them with others. On the other hand, Franny already had a long list of projects in her lab that she was anxious to complete. And on the other hand, it was always an extra challenge to create a project that the kids at school would appreciate. Wait a second, that was 3 hands. Well, this is Franny we're talking about. Franny explained it to her mom. I want to do a good science fair project, but I really don't like to take time away from the other lab projects. Her mom smiled. You can't have it both ways, Franny. You know what they say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. A wide grin came across Franny's face. You can't have your cake and eat it too? We'll see about that. Franny walked quickly to her lab, with the blueprint of her next creation beginning to form inside her head as she went. Chapter 4. It was a piece of cake. Franny began assembling the mechanism she had designed. Can't have your cake and eat it too, she scoffed. Where do they come up with these things? As she worked, Franny recalled when she conducted experiments based on other sayings she had heard her mom use. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, but it has to be a really big apple. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, but are you sure you want a bird in your hand? Whoever said as easy as taking candy from a baby never actually tried to do it. At last her device was complete, and she demonstrated it to her faithful assistant Igor. Observe, here on my time-warp dessert plate I have a delicious piece of cake. Igor nodded. He was always ready to observe a delicious piece of cake. Franny gobbled it up quickly. Now I've eaten it, so of course I no longer have it. Igor shook his head. No cake. That is sad. But through a slight time warp, I can actually make a small zone on the plate go back to a point in the recent past when I had not yet eaten the cake. Igor's eyes widened as the cake reappeared on Franny's special plate. And now I have it again, she said. There was a way to have your cake and eat it too, and Franny had figured it out. Easy as pie, she said. Chapter 5. From fair to cloudy. Miss Shelley smiled as the principal of the school, Mrs. Pierce, addressed all of the students. Thank you all so much for working so hard to make this year's science fair exciting and interesting and not, life-threatening, she said. The other kids knew exactly what Mrs. Pierce was talking about. In years past, some of Franny's creations had been a bit dangerous, like remote-control scissors, porcupine underpants, sugar-frosted snakes, tornado in a jar, and chicken fingers. In fact, most of Franny's creations could be dangerous, and the kids had learned to be very, very careful around anything that came out of Franny's laboratory. They liked Franny, but they had learned to take Franny and her creations very seriously. We have made many excellent entries, and this year we're giving out certificates, the principal said. I'm happy to present third prize to William Frederick Davis for his new breed of banana that you just turn inside out instead of peeling. William smiled and ran up and took his certificate. I never knew his middle name was Frederick, Franny whispered, and suddenly she looked a bit concerned. Second prize goes to Anthony Christopher Hernandez for his never-miss baseball glove. Anthony ran up and got his certificate. Christopher, huh? Franny said, looking slightly more concerned. And first prize, the principal began, again goes to Franny. That's okay, Franny interrupted nervously. I'll, just pass on the certificate. Of course not, Mrs. Pierce said. You won fair and square, Franny. You should be proud. Okay, but you don't have to read my name or anything. We all know my name. Nonsense, the principal said. For her time warp dessert plate, first prize goes to Franny Kissy Pie Stein. Chapter 6. What's in a Name? Franny Kissy Pie Stein. The principal looked at the certificate more closely, just to make sure she had read it correctly. She even cleaned her glasses. Is that right, Franny? Is your middle name Kissy Pie? Franny walked up and quietly took the certificate. Yes, Franny said. It is. My middle name is Kissy Pie. The kids looked at the principal. They looked at Miss Shelley. They looked at Franny. They looked at each other. And then they erupted into an explosion of laughter. Franny Kissy Pie Stein. They could hardly believe it. It's the most ridiculous name I ever heard, one of the kids shouted. What kind of middle name is that? We've been afraid of a kid named Kissy Pie. Even Miss Shelley and the principal giggled a little, and Franny felt a terrible, destructive rage start to boil inside her. Silence! Franny yelled, and her eyes flashed with her terrible, mad science anger. You think I want Kissy Pie for a middle name? It was some stupid nickname my dad had for my mom when they were just dating. They thought it would be cute to give it to me. I never asked to be named Kissy Pie. Franny's face reddened, and she spoke through clenched teeth. Just in case none of you know how it works, your parents name you. You don't name yourself. Don't you think I'd change it if I had a way? I bet you would, one of the kids yelled, and they all started laughing even harder. Franny was so angry that she started to tremble. She couldn't stand being laughed at. She was just about to do something truly awful when her eyes fell on her time warp dessert plate. Franny whispered to herself, Don't you think I'd change it if I had a way? Her mind began the calculations. I wonder,